Hello everyone. This video is a follow-up to a video I made 18 months ago about sewing 8 quilted jackets. Well, the question is, what does a person do after sewing 8 quilted jackets? So this is the follow-up. I'll tell you how the jackets I made went, what else I made, because there are more, and what happened to some of them because they're not on the rail anymore. So hello everybody, my name is Sam. If you are new around here, just taking my slippers off so I'm a bit lower, and I'm called Sequin Girly. Now if you haven't seen, I will link up here and put at the end the other video about the original 8 quilted jackets I've made. So this is the sequel, and I will tell you how they have lasted, how I've managed to style them, and what you do once you've made 8. So the first thing that I want to say is that there is still the OG, we'll talk about that one. There are these 2 new ones, another new one here, and one that's not here. But don't worry, it's just gone in the loft. So after making that many quilted jackets, which was sort of a learning experience, I was finding out what style I liked, what techniques I liked. So it wasn't about making 8 finished jackets. 2 of them I knew when I started making them. Whilst I love the process, one of them I made with French seams, this one that I'm putting on the screen here, which is the Tamarak. It did not work for me. It was not my style, and I felt that because I'd put time and effort into the quality, the finishing and the binding, I would rather give it a home to someone else than hack it about. Sometimes it's worth hacking things about, but I actually gave that one away and it went off to a new home. I took it to the Southern Social, the event that I run monthly, and someone gave it a new home. The other one that I didn't bother to finish, and I didn't even bind or anything at the time because I was suspicious, was the Quilted Parchment. It's a raglan sleeve style and it just did not work for me. My challenge with raglan sleeves is because I'm narrow shouldered, if that raglan is too big, particularly in like a quilted jacket, it just looked like I was wearing someone else's. But another lady who was taller and slightly wider shoulders than me, in proportion to her body, took it away, finished it, and it looks brilliant. So I'm really pleased that those 2 went and found new homes. Now, one of the original ones I made, this one here, which is a hack of the Friday Pattern Company Ilford jacket, I did not like the pre-quilted fabric that I'd bought it in because it was like a patchwork design that was printed on it, felt a bit nylon-y. It was quite pale colours, which doesn't work with my wardrobe style, but I did like the look of it. So I took it apart and I unpicked all the seams and took it back to the pieces, the 2 fronts, the back, the sleeves and the collar. And I re-quilted a new fabric on top. So let me show you. So I re-quilted on top this tiger print, block print cotton. And I knew that that would work because it wasn't stiff and it just gave a little bit extra to the quilt rather than an extra level of bulk. So inside is the original design. It is soft, but it doesn't feel very natural. I sought out black velvet bias. Let me tell you, that is not easy to find. If you are in the UK, you can get that from Oh So Crafty, but it was not easy to find. And so it is 90% finished. Let me pop it on for you. So this is a long line. This is my only long line quilted jacket. It is very close to being finished because it was a labour of love to take something apart and then quilt it and re-put it back together. And so I like that it has a collar. I'm quite happy here that you can see this contrasting pattern because it sort of breaks up the green a bit, and I think the black contrasts well. I've just got to finish the binding on the sleeves, and I made sure the sleeves, which is the case in many things I make, are the right length for me. So the binding on the sleeves has just got to be finished, and after asking people during Vlogmas what finishing on the collar, someone suggested black, someone said leave it like this. I'm just going to do black along the edge here so it sort of continues on from the front. I'm not going to do it all the way round. And then the final decision will be, will I put pockets on? because I have quilted those and it's just whether I want them on. I actually curved the bottom. So the bottom I did a curve to. The Ilford jacket is quite a straightforward jacket by Friday Pattern Company. The one thing I'm not a fan of with the Ilford is the style of the sleeves. Because it is a drop shoulder, it does mean in something like a quilted jacket it gets a little bulky because of the shape. But because this was already quite a soft quilt, I think it will be okay. But I am excited to wear this now, and I feel that it was one that I did as a trial to see if you could take the Ilford jacket and make a quilted jacket. Answer yes. And then of course I've made it into something that's much more my vibe. So that is that one. From the original collection that I made, oh, the annoying thing was I'd also done like hong seams on the inside to learn how to do them. So I had to unpick all of that as well. So it is unfinished on the inside. From the original collection is this one. Now this is a pattern that I bought in a charity shop called the Jackie O Jacket by Simply Sews magazine, and I think you'll find I looked on eBay recently and you can find it. You have to size up. I don't know what happened with their measurements, but I made a toile, I traced it, made a toile, and I was like, whoa, this is tight. So I needed to size up 2, nearly 3 sizes. And it's supposed to be a bracelet length sleeve. So on this one, I lengthened the sleeves as well. This is my most worn quilted jacket that I've made. It is a vintage sheet on the outside. The inside is some quilted cushion covers that I found in a charity shop. So again, I used the quilting from that and then just quilted using long diagonal lines, the fabric on top, and then so I cut them into large rectangles, then cut the correct size pieces. I did this other vintage fabric for the binding, yellow and purple opposite each other on the colour wheel, so work well together. And I did binding for the inside, so I hand stitched that in. But I didn't have enough of the cushion covers, the quilted cushion covers in the charity shop. So the sleeves are actually sweatshirt fabric, which I quilted this fabric onto, which is nice because it means the sleeves are not as bulky, because usually when you're getting like a jumper sleeve in there, that works really well. So this one, I love the length. It goes with, in that springtime, all my spring colours that I have in my wardrobe. But I have worn it this time of year as well, because it also works with, like you can see here, like the blacks and things like that. This is my absolute favourite quilted jacket of all the ones I've made. I think it's the nostalgia of the print, it's the fit, it's everything about it. One of the other original ones was the one I made, which was a free pattern, and now I can't find, so I'm really sorry if you're trying to find this. If you are a member of my channel, there is a button below to find out about that. I can help you with that. So you can reach out to me as a member, but sorry for the rest of you. The publishers have taken down the free patterns. They had all the PDFs and I had a link to this. So this is the quilted jacket that was in one of the early seasons of the Great British Sewing Bee. It is similar but different to the Jackie O. It comes more to the front. It has a dart and it is just a bit more space at the back. I like the Jackie O because the back is a bit narrow. This is more traditional quilted jacket behaviour at the back. It's got a nice shape to the bottom. It is another bracelet length and I did leave it at that. I made this out of a second-hand quilt that I found at a boot fair that was originally from Marks and Spencer, and I unpicked the binding that was on the quilt and then moved it to the edges and where possible cut the pieces with the binding. This surprised me when I made it because it's very neutral for me, but having a neutral jacket is a win because sorry, I'm just moving that so I'm not bashing my mic. With a neutral jacket, you can kind of wear any colour with it and it works. And so I would have never chosen to make a grey jacket. It's sort of an icy grey, but it's still grey, but it has worked really well in my wardrobe. And this is one of the things I'm going to come to in a minute that was a bit of a problem with the quilted jackets. Now I'm just going to pop a picture on screen here of the first Hava jacket I made, which was from a brand new quilt I bought from Dunelm, a rainbow quilt. And I love that. I wear that all through the year. It is definitely more of a spring summer palette, but I love it. And with the leftovers this year, I made a bag. So it's got a pocket on the front, there's a pocket inside. And I thought it was nice to show you what I made with the leftovers of that quilt. And I made a follow-up Hava. Hava jacket is by Megan Nielsen. It is oversized, but remember you've got to get a jumper underneath if you're going to wear it at certain times of year. This one, to quilt this, I took a quilting cotton on the outside and quilted it onto a sweatshirt, brushed sweatshirt, and I had the brushed side out so that it was really snuggly. I left the sleeves the length that Megan Nielsen designs them so I could turn them up to break up the pattern. But you can see that with this jacket, the sleeves are far too long for me, but I kind of liked that you could see that. I did bias bound edges and bias binding on the ends, and then I stitched on the sleeve this ribbon down here. I did the big pockets that are designed as part of the pattern. I love the pockets on her pattern. I like the way this fits, but I struggle to wear it. Because it's baby blue and baby pink, it's really hard for me to put over other things. And it is definitely one of the pieces of advice I would give you about making any kind of jacket, but a quilted jacket, is will it work over the time of year's wardrobe palette? So the rainbow one is fine. It's just a big statement and you just could put it over anything, honestly, because it's like its own entity. But something like this, because it's a finer print, it is working with whatever is poking out. So if you had, like I've got like purple or burnt orange trousers, it's just like it's not working with it. And I don't really wear jeans, and I've only got one black pair of trousers. So I like Megan Nielsen's design. I like the fact that her sleeve doesn't feel bulky when you bring your arms down, which in a quilted jacket can be a problem and happens in the Ilford. These sleeves are designed much better. I love her pocket design. I love this neckband design that she has, but I'm either going to have to give this a new home or stick it in the washing machine and see what happens with some dye, or challenge myself to try and wear it with my wardrobe, because I wore it quite a few times when I first made it because I was excited. Now I don't really wear it. So, and that's the truth, is I think it was the wrong colours. It was an experiment, and I even cut the pieces of the print up and quilted and patchworked those before quilting it, because this fabric had a huge directional print, which I think you can see, and I rearranged it all to break that up. So you can see I patched the piece together. So it was a labour of love, but I don't know what to do. So maybe you can let me know what you think. Maybe it just needs to go to a new home, because it's not like I haven't got a few jackets. Let's talk about the OG before we talk about new ones. So this is the very first quilted jacket I made. This is the well-loved coat cardigan pattern, quite significantly hacked by me, which you can watch in the previous video, me talking about that. Duvet cover for the inside. All of these pieces are patchworked together. Because it was my first one, I actually overlocked the inside edges, and I do still wear this. The palette works better at this time of year, and this has been through the washing machine a couple of times, so I can I can assure you that this has got traditional batting in the middle, and that has not been a problem. I didn't pre-wash the fabric in this before making it. These were all like fat quarters and things I had. It is a crop length sleeve again, but I'm okay about that, and it will always be very special to me, from the reason why I made it, to the colours, to the prints. All of it is fabrics I just adored, and so it is the OG. The pattern doesn't come with a collar. I drafted a collar on, and I will wear this with pride, and it goes with like lots of colours. Like I can wear green trousers, blue trousers, purple trousers, all sorts of things, and it works. So that is my OG one. I have hand stitched some repairs on here because it was my first time of doing anything like this when I did it. There were a few places where the fabric had disconnected from each other, and I just hand stitched some things in. I'm kind of okay that it's got a lived in look because it's mine and it's special, but don't be afraid to set to your quilted jacket and just repair a little bit. You can even do visible mending or put a new piece of fabric on, because it's part of the joyful journey. But yes, it's had a few repairs, this one. This one was made 4 years ago now. Right, let's talk new jackets. So because I really liked the Great British Sewing Bee pattern, I made another one not long after the video came out. And so you might recognise this. It is the same as the green one. This is the pink version of the Indian block print pattern. It's a very fine cotton, but by the time you've quilted it, this has a brushed flannel sheet as the batting in the middle, and I used some quilting cotton as the lining. I've actually made this reversible. If you look at the way I finished this, I did French seam here, I bound the sleeves on that side, and I used this black and white block print cotton for the binding. That because of what is this sandwich in the middle, it's so flexible. So some of them, because they're thicker quilts, keep you gorgeously warm but are like quite stiff. This is very lightweight to wear but has a warmth to it because of course it has a brushed cotton flannel in the middle, but it's much thinner, and I love wearing this. This goes with, it goes perfectly with what I'm wearing today. It feels extremely me, but it is very bright, but it is like sort of jewel tone bright, and leopard is sort of a neutral. But the great thing about this jacket, it's the first one I've made that is truly reversible. So there we go. And I just think that black and white stripe binding works perfectly, and that's the thing, is this collar comes up quite high up here, which I like in this because of the style, and you can see I'm really happy with how I've done all the finish on that. So this is my truly reversible quilted jacket. So hopefully what you're seeing is that you don't have to do all quilted jackets in the same style. You can use sweatshirting, you can use reclaimed quilts, wait for the dog bed one coming in a minute. You could use some brushed cotton in the middle. You can play with that to create the level of quilting that you want. So don't be afraid to try things out. And that was why I made the original video, because I wanted to try out and find out what I liked. So then we come to the two new ones, the two true new ones of 2025. So Spaghetti Western Sewing, which is a pattern company I'm really enjoying, released the Rue coat a few years ago, and I've been looking at it, and it's a collared quilted jacket. You can do a piece inside that means you can wear the strap and wear the coat just hanging down your back when you're hot, which I love. She's done a quilt along for a house quilt design to put on it. Has good generous pockets, so I made one. Now this one began life as a dog bed blanket that the charity shop was selling because it was a very expensive quilt that had got a bit grubby on the cream side. I gave it a good few washes, some stain remover, multiple days in the sunshine, and it turned out fine. Now it was blue and cream, and I didn't want a blue and cream one because that's just not my vibe. chucked it in the washing machine and dyed it. So the blue became this lovely purple and the cream became this sort of plum colour. I used this lovely cotton block print for the binding, but like a silly Billy, I didn't dye enough to make the pocket. So I still have the spare binding to do around the pockets if I decide to dye some more. But I have worn this with thick jumpers underneath and it is quite oversized. So I made the size that was recommended for my measurements. Now it is quite long, but I like you've seen with the other quilted jackets, being able to turn the sleeve up and break up the end. So when it's really cold, you want that sleeve down to keep your hands warm. But on day to day, doing that just breaks it all up. So it is quite capacious. Now it's an interesting design because you have, if you follow the instructions, you have the binding that does this and the back is longer than the front. But honestly, I wore this with a bag cross over, a tote bag on, and I was going around Leamington Spa on a really grey, wet, rainy day. And it stood the test of time. It got soaking wet. I was absolutely drenched when I got back to the train, but it kept me warm. I was so warm. It was only when I took it off and went to put it back on, I was like, whoa, it's wet. But it's lovely. It has got a lot of room. Now you will notice that none of my quilted jackets have any kind of fastening. It's just because I don't really fasten them. This is the first one I thought I might want to. So I think I found some buttons that I'm going to do proper buttonholes and put on. You could do poppers, you could do ties. Most of the patterns do come with a recommendation, but I just don't really ever want to do them up. They're more like jackets. But this one is that kind of neutral that I needed in my winter wardrobe when I've got like a print on and I want to throw something on. But because it was quite oversized, I went back to the pattern and I think I went down 2 sizes. So I'll show you that one. And I made this in a pre-quilted cotton that I bought from Rainbow Fabrics. It is quite stiff, so this is going to go in the wash to see what happens. So yes, I went down 2 sizes, so you can see this doesn't look so big on me. There is still plenty of room in it. You don't get the bulk under the sleeves either, so this is like Megan Nielsen. This has stripes on the inside. I bound this with a vintage tablecloth. I just felt the colours work really well. It has a lovely generous collar and these pockets. I love these pockets. These are really generous. Now, the one challenge, let me zoom out a minute. The one challenge with this Rue quilted jacket is if you do up the front, the back pokes out. If you pull in the front, the back comes in. I've thought that could be solved by just attaching this V a bit. I've looked at the photos. She had loads of pattern testers. It seems to be what happens with it. It might not bother you. I don't know how I think. I was even thinking of putting poppers on the side here so I could pop it in when I want it to do that and unpop it when I want it to. I mean, when you're sat down, that's perfect, isn't it? So even like with this, there's still plenty of room. I am thinking of putting a popper or 2 on here. You could easily slim down the collar if it's just too big for you, but I love a big collar. This colour works perfectly for my winter palette. I'm just looking at one moment, the skirt I've got on today, it works well. Works well with all the reds, the burgundies, that sort of thing. So, quilted jackets are not done for me. I know you might think you've made 8, surely you're done. 2 have found new homes, 1 has been redone, so I'm probably on 9 now, I think. Yes, 9. But I am, as you can hopefully see, pretty ruthless about only having the things that work. Some are more jackets, some are more coats. I love a collar. I think there's a lot out there. Seamwork has got a free one out at the moment. If you sign up, you get it. Someone else has just released one. So really, when you're choosing the quilted jacket, you're thinking, what do I want? Do I want good sized pockets? Do I want a collar? Do I want it more like a shawl type collar that will snuggle around me? Do I want lots of room so I can wear jumpers underneath? Do I like this sort of more style? So there's lots of things to choose from, but hopefully seeing 18 months on from my first video, you can see what I've come to realise is I want the right palette in my quilted jacket so that it is wearable with the wardrobe of the time of year I'll wear it. I'm sure I will make at least one more. I'm thinking of a velvet quilted jacket. I hope you found this helpful. If you've got any questions, leave them below. And if you haven't seen the original one, go and watch that now because I'm sure you will enjoy that too. Thank you for your support and I'll see you again soon.